Hi everybody, I am Dr. Kavita. Today I want to briefly discuss about strokes. Strokes of the brain especially are of two types, ischemic stroke and hemorrhagic stroke. Ischemic stroke is characterized by sudden loss of blood circulation to an area of the brain which leads to loss of neurological function. It may be caused either by thrombotic or embolic occlusion of a cerebral artery. Ischemic strokes are more common when compared to hemorrhagic strokes. Ischemic strokes are also known as infarcts. It may be a right MCA infarct or a left MCA infarct or posterior circulatory infarct or a cerebellar infarction. Some common signs and symptoms of stroke may be hemiparesis, monoparesis. The patients may have hemisensory deficits. Some patients may have monocular or binocular visual loss. Some may present with diplopia or visual field defects. Speech disturbances and facial palsy is common in stroke patients. Some patients may present with ataxic hemiparesis. Some usually present on OPD with vertigo, nystagmus. In some patients, there is complete absence of speech, which is known as aphasia, and some may present with a deep coma, which may result due to sudden decrease in level of consciousness. The goals of neurological examination are: first, we have to confirm the presence of stroke symptoms or neurological deficits, if any, establish a neurological baseline and whether the patient GCS improves or deteriorates, and establish the stroke severity according to National Institute of Health Stroke Scale NIHSS to confirm the prognosis and therapeutic selection. Neurological examination includes cranial nerve examination, motor function examination, sensory function examination, examination of the cerebellar function, gait, deep tendon reflexes, language, and mental status and level of consciousness. Diagnosis can be made with CT scan brain or MRI brain, CT angiography or MR angiography, carotid Doppler or DSA, distal subtraction angiography. Lab tests include complete blood count to examine for any polycythemia, thrombocytosis or leukemia or thrombocytopenia. Other investigations include blood sugars, hyponatremia, coagulation studies should be done, cardiac biomarkers should be done. After the regular investigation is done, we should assess the cardiac function with a 2D echo, and carotid vessels should be checked with a carotid Doppler neck vessels. Some patients may have carotid TIAs or carotid strokes. That may be a right carotid stroke or left carotid stroke, which is revealed in the carotid Doppler. Some patients may present with cardiac embolic stroke, so we have to assess the 2D echo function. Regarding the management of stroke, one should assess the airway, breathing and circulation. After the initial evaluation is done, if the patient presents within the window period of less than 4.5 hours, we can do a reperfusion therapy or a thrombolytic therapy with alteplase, intra-arterial approach or intravenous fibrolytics. In case the patient can be taken up for mechanical thrombectomy, we should assess the prognosis and discuss with the patient attenders. Stroke prevention is usually done with antiplatelets, statins, exercise, and lifestyle interventions. Regular exercise of 30 minutes per day for 4 to 5 days or 3 to 4 days within a week is included in primary stroke prevention. Lifestyle interventions like smoking cessation, alcohol moderation should be done, and if the patient is a hypertensive, he should regularly use his antihypertensives. If the patient is a diabetic, he should regularly monitor his blood sugars. Secondary prevention includes antihypertensives and lifestyle interventions also. Secondary prevention refers to the treatment of individuals who have already had a stroke, and measures that can be followed are using antiplatelet agents, antihypertensives, statins, and lifestyle interventions. So, stroke may be divided into three categories. One is large artery stroke, small vessel stroke or lacunar stroke, and cardioembolic infarction. Large artery infarctions usually include atherosclerotic lesions or thrombosis in carotid, vertebrobasilar, and cerebral arteries, and large artery infarctions may also be cardioembolic. Cardioemboli are a common source of recurrent stroke. Small vessel or lacunar strokes are small focal areas of ischemia due to obstruction of single small vessels in deep penetrating arteries. And regarding treatment, recanalization strategies have been taken recently and since long with intravenous recombinant tissue type plasminogen activator, alteplase, and intraarterial approaches. These attempts can establish revascularization so that cells within the ischemic penumbra can be rescued before irreversible injury occurs. Some physiological parameters optimization and prevention of neurological complications can be done with giving to the patient supplemental oxygen as required, and good glycemic control, optimal blood pressure control, and prevention of hypothermia. Adequate nursing care and rehabilitation after the patient suffers from a stroke will also help the patient's recovery as fast as it could. Sometimes ischemic strokes may have hemorrhagic transformation, and this hemorrhagic transformation means conversion of ischemic infarction into an area of hemorrhage. Then the neurologist decides whether to give antiplatelet or not. Some hemorrhagic transformations may need surgery, so we have to assess with the CT scan regularly for the patient at risk. It is possible through monitoring of the GCS. And in patients who have a hemorrhagic transformation, thrombolytic therapy with retiplase or alteplase is contraindicated. Some patients after the stroke they develop cerebral edema and seizures. So large strokes usually require antiplatelet along with an antiplatelet they require an anti-epileptic drug also. Risk factors for ischemic strokes are of two types, non-modifiable and modifiable. Non-modifiable risk factors are age, sex, history of migraine headaches, any fibromuscular dysplasia, or family history of stroke or transient ischemic attacks. Modifiable risk factors are hypertension, diabetes, any cardiac disease like atrial fibrillation or valvular disease or heart failure or mitral stenosis, or any ventricular enlargement, and hypercholesteremia or hyperlipidemia or dyslipidemia, any history of transient ischemic attacks, carotid stenosis, right carotid artery stenosis, internal carotid artery stenosis, hyperhomocystinemia, any lifestyle issues like excessive alcohol intake or tobacco use or illicit drug usage or physical inactivity, obesity, any history of oral contraceptive usage or postmenopausal hormonal usage, and sickle cell disease. Coming to stroke, after the stroke, if the rehabilitation is good and nursing care is good, patient can recover as early as possible, and patient attendees and family members should have a positive positive thinking towards a stroke patient in rehabilitation. Thank you.